Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready to go? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call us to order here. We are here for a meeting this evening,
we are.
although we're having a lovely time
Thank you very
chatting. So, this is the, Wednesday, October 8th, 2025 meeting, regular meeting of the, Historic Preservation Meeting. Can we have a roll call?
Yes. Member Church. Here. Member McGuire.
Here.
Member Minor is absent. Member Nickel. Here. Member O'Connor.
Here.
And Member Tanner.
Here.
And Chair Bergman.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
Great. So the first item on our agenda is to consider the September 10th, regular meeting minutes. I hope you've all had a chance to read them. Oh, good. All right. And does anybody have any suggested changes, any corrections? No. I will entertain a motion and a second.
So move.
Okay, move and a second. And, all in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Item 3 on the agenda, we reserve 15 minutes for individuals to speak to the commission for any items that are not on the agenda. I don't see much in the way of extra guests this evening. We anticipated. How about on the TV?
We don't have anyone.
Okay, so not hearing that. I think we move to the landmark nomination for 348 Foss Court. And we can begin with that. So yes, so you are Rich, you said? Rush, okay. Rush and Nicole, both of you are welcome to come up, but please come up and tell us about the house.
Okay.
Tell us what your plans are.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, my name is Rush Holson. I've been loosely connected to Lake Bluff for about 40 years. My family's my dad grew up in Lake Forest. I grew up in Orlando. But I spent all my summers up here in the Lake Forest, Lake Bluff area. As a kid, went to the Silo Pizza. I couldn't believe that was still here when I moved back. Not that that's really germane to the home, but I think it's important insofar as we're very connected to the community. And we've lived in Lake Bluff now for 10 years over here on Pine Court. And have been kind of slowly perusing, a home to move into as our family's gotten bigger. And we came across this house probably about a year ago and just kind of fell in love with it right out of the gate. It's 130 years old. It was built in 1895. I'll kind of get into some of the history of the home here in a second, but we knew when we went into the house that it has gravitas. You can tell it's an important part of the community. It originally sat on 80 acres as more of like an oasis for the employees at Marshall Fields. But we knew that in 2025, the house was not really conducive to having a larger family in it in terms of the layout of the house. I mean, what's so great about it is that it's old and it's built really well, but sometimes when it's a little bit older, it's not really in line with modern day living. So our goal with the house is to make sure that we keep with the tradition of the house. And when you walk into the house and you look at it from the outside, it looks like that's the way that it's always been, but making it a more suitable, probably appropriate place to raise a large, not large family of 3 kids. There's 5 of us, but yeah. So like I said before, and some of this stuff is in the slides too, but this house was for a pretty significant period of time. It was owned by the Marshall Fields Company, and it housed women. It was a home for women to come up here and spend parts of their summer on the lower end of their payouts. So it was like for admins and things of that nature. It was like a perk to come up here and spend the week in Lake Bluff and kind of get out of the city, which was a really cool thing to do. And then if you go down the history of the house, it hasn't had many owners. With one exception, I think everyone lived there more than 10 or 15 years. And do I have the clicker to
I
change
can
it?
do that.
We don't need that. That's just kind of the historical record of the purchases, and you go, well, so I don't want to read this whole thing, but you can, if you go one more over down. Oh, I guess one will go back up. The bottom of that page on the right lists all the owners of the house for 130 years. There's only like 6 of them. The previous owner, the Neesons, lived there for 40 years. And what I think was like really cool, and I encourage you guys to read, I'm certainly not going to read it and take up your time. The Mariposa Ranch letter, which we obtained through the Lake Bluff Museum, was written from the Neesons to the son of the person who owned it during the Great Depression. And he goes through what it was like living in the house, what changes they made to the house, how it was so important to them as a family. It is kind of have a somber tone to it, as he kind of says, it was great, it was great, it was amazing, and then World War II happened and we all got split up. But he goes into great detail about what they did, why it was important. Certainly, I read it after we purchased the house. It made me feel closer to it. So for us, I think, like I said, the goal for us is to make sure that the intention of what this was supposed to be is restored and done in a way such that it can continue into the future. So if you go to the last page here, you can kind of see what our plans are. So there's some photos of, this is in the 50s, I guess 1932. The pictures are not the clearest. You can flip, yeah. You can flip it again. So that was in the 60s, I believe. And then if you go to this, I think this is the last, this is our plan for the house. So if you look, this is looking at it from the front. So if you look to the right, we're going to build over the existing garage with the exact same architectural layout that they had before. It'll actually make it look more symmetrical. I think it'll be more appealing to the eye as opposed to less. And then if you look, you can see what we're doing on all sides. I think the thing that's key to, or that's noteworthy here is it looks like a seamless transition from what it is now to what we intend on it being. And then there's one more page that just kind of shows a different version of it. So yeah, that's the back of the house. So you'll see that the goal and all the drawings that we've done are in line with making it seem like we haven't really done much. So this is my first time ever doing this. I don't know if I answer questions or I'm done. That's kind of the whole deal.
Good job.
Okay.
Certainly happy to answer any questions.
Okay. In one of the slides that you showed, is there a description about the Marshall Field usage of the property?
There is. It's a newspaper article.
Was it this one?
Yeah, I think so.
Book a room, hotels for women? I have not seen that before. So does that tell a history of the Marshall Field?
It does. So my wife's probably read it more thoroughly than I have, but my understanding was there was a hotel at Maple and North that burned down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they were just kind of comparing this as a place for the Marshall Fields employees to what that particular hotel was.
That was a woman's hotel.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
The Greek Museum has a lot of information.
Well, that's what it says, Lake Bluff History Museum. Well, we asked them for their information. That's why I'm questioning this. So I find that quite interesting. So there's a very strong social history that runs through Lake Bluff in this 1895 period, where Lake Bluff is chock-a-block with hotels for people who come up here in the summertime. And they were on Prospect Avenue and Center Avenue. And the one you're referring to is on North Avenue. And then the house you're in was the one for the Marshall Field for the shop girls, essentially. So that's part of the social history that we're always interested in cataloging the social history of properties as well as the architectural history of them. So that's very interesting. Are you planning on, can you tell me what's the, what does the interior of the house look like? How many bedrooms does it have?
It currently has 4 bedrooms, one of which is a makeshift bedroom on the first floor that the previous owners used it as their family room. But it does have a closet on it. And then off of it is a powder room that has a shower in it. So you can call it a bath or a bedroom.
Yeah.
So like I said, currently it has 4, but really 3. When we're done, it will have 5 because we're going to build that master bedroom.
Mhm.
And then the current master suite, we're going to turn into 2 separate bedrooms. Because it's kind of like a wonky, the way that it's done is it's like bedroom, shower, bathroom, and then on the other side is this giant walk-in closet that's big enough to be a bedroom. So we figured do it like a ensuite bathroom with one of our kids' rooms and then the guest room. So
Right.
I would also add that in the living room, it's got like, I thought the first few times I saw it was wallpaper. It's got this beautiful kind of like hand painted mural on the inside, not mural, like landscape of a lush green, like not garden, but like kind of wild area with flowers and wildflowers. And we're definitely keeping that because it's painted on. It's not, it was like a hand painted thing in the living room. So,
It's a mural.
would you call it a mural? The mural.
Okay. Well, how
Yeah,
very,
so that was important to us to make sure that we kept that up. That was some painstaking efforts went into that.
I don't know. Here's the list of the
Yeah,
homeowners.
do you have any concept of when that was done?
No, I don't.
That's cool. Just good.
Let's see, we knew Pat.
I believe it was prior to the previous owners. I don't think the previous owners did it, so it's at least
Hmm.
40 years old if that's correct. They moved in
Okay.
1985.
Mhm. I would suspect something like that would have been done back in the 20s or 30s.
You would think so.
That's a very popular era for doing.
Right, that would be
those
my
kinds of-
guess too.
Kinds of murals and whatnot. So that's very interesting. So, okay. Were you able to find any information out about Mr. Hubbard, the original farmer who built the property? Was there any, did you?
Yes, if you go back, there is. If you go back to this deed, not this deed, a sketchy history is what it's called.
Yeah,
He's mentioned in there quite a bit. I just can't read it. I read it before. I read it a couple weeks ago. I don't remember much.
Got this, right?
But it's funny, the farther back you go, the more detailed history they have.
It says he built the house though, right? Like himself. I'm reading that now.
Yes.
He said he built the house. Hubbard
Mhm.
did, so.
Right.
okay. So I don't know if we know anything about Hubbard as a farmer. And I don't know if this piece of property necessarily lends itself to farming. It seems to me that it's pretty, that whole area is pretty heavily wooded.
He was, I believe, I think what he did, he lit the gas for the streetlights in Lake Bluff
Yeah.
at night. And then in the morning, he had to put them all out.
Mhm.
And he was from Wisconsin. And he came down, I think when he initially built it, it was a relatively small kind of situation. That was what I got when I read it at least.
Okay. You can't tell, can you tell if the house was a lot smaller at one point?
It was smaller, yeah. I mean, the library is an addition. If you go through it, they don't say what the specific additions are, but there's multiple times, and most of it's on this here,
Mhm.
where they say, and then they added this, and then they added
Mm.
this.
Okay.
And like I said, it was originally on 80 acres, and I can't think of the guy's name, the Mariposa Ranch family, where they wrote the letter back and forth. You kind of got the idea that the owner, who was the father of this person writing the letter, was kind of going through some tough financial times. So that's how the property got parceled off. Because it was initially 80 acres.
Would that have
They
been?
sold, it went all the way to the middle school.
Yeah,
So they sold it to the middle school and built like a north-south thoroughfare connecting
Mhm.
them streets.
Well, when you look in the land records for Lake County, you can see that it's a very narrow piece of land. And it looks like it stretches from Moffett, as you say, all the way up to the grade school property.
Right.
And, but it doesn't look like it doesn't look like it's too much wider than your current piece of property.
Yeah, that's kind of my understanding too.
And so, we have some other farms, west of Green Bay Road where they have large acreages and are able to support livestock and lots of grass and some corn and stuff. And your piece of property seems to be, in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
And so, I'm just curious as to if we can
Yeah, if
tease
his
it.
farm was somewhere else or.
Yeah, can we tease out any history of any of that? So do you think the guy writing the Mariposa letter is related to Percy Wilson?
The son, wasn't it?
Yeah, you said.
It's his son.
Son.
Because the guy said Ted Wilson's the Mariposa.
Yeah,
Ranch guy.
Ted Wilson is the
Right,
Mariposa
okay,
guy.
all right,
And it doesn't directly say this is my dad, but it's pretty obviously implied.
okay,
Right.
all right.
And I did some research on this guy and couldn't find much.
On this Mariposa Ranch guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if Percy Wilson, it looks like he was a treasurer of Marshall Fields, is that correct?
what
On
his
some
letter-
letterhead, it
Yeah,
said.
that's what I think.
He is also a very active developer in Lake Bluff and Lake Forest.
All
There's probably a half a dozen subdivisions in the area that are called the Percy Wilson subdivisions. So
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's
One
still
over-
called the Percy Wilson home or estate,
Yeah,
isn't it?
so
in the-
there's
the
one
line?
over by Deer Path Golf Course in Lake Forest that I'm familiar with. So he was doing a lot of land development in addition to being apparently the treasurer of Marshall Field.
So I was just trying to follow the chain of ownership. Did Marshall Fields ever actually own the home, or did Percy Wilson as treasurer of Marshall Fields?
You know, I was trying to figure that out because when you go through the list of owners, it doesn't say anything about Marshall. Fields
Yeah, right,
specifically, but
right.
then when you read the articles, maybe they misunderstood, or maybe Marshall Fields presented it that way to the press or whatever. But like,
Right.
I kind of got the impression that they were using, maybe the company owned it and he lived there.
Yeah.
Perk. But
Mhm.
I certainly didn't get the impression that Marshall Fields was like on the deed.
Right, that's kind of what I thought too.
The other thing that raises the question from that is due east of your property from Moffett east is the Stanley Field estate, which was about 30 acres, and Stanley Field was Marshall Field's nephew. And he's the one who, I don't think he really works for the company, but he handles all of the programs. He's the one who builds the Field Museum and does all of the other social practices in town. And so he's not a merchant guy, but he's a guy there who's spending the family fortune.
Patron of the arts.
Yeah.
Of the arts, yes.
Professional philanthropist.
Yeah,
We can get there someday, right?
something we all aspire to.
That's right.
And so it's just curious to try and see if there was some sort of land ownership that was stretched all the way.
This
to
isn't a
the
test,
lake.
this is all.
No, I suspect obviously with that in mind, I suspect there's probably some connection. Obviously, it would be a
Yeah.
very strange coincidence. Maybe you just went up there and saw the place like, man, I need to get some land here too.
So, well,
One of the things for me, thinking about like Lake Bluff, just in general, like in the 1890s, early 1900s, you forget that going from the city to Lake Bluff wasn't a 45-minute car ride, you know? It was an oasis. It was getting out of the city. It wasn't really connected to the city.
mhm. That was the draw of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that was a feature, not a bug, right?
Yeah, so,
One of the Wilson children wrote that they came up then for the summer, so it was like a big deal. They
Yeah.
would get in their cars and drive, and it was
It was
All right.
funny, somewhat germane to this, to like at least understanding. I grew up in Orlando and my grandfather built a lake house in the middle of nowhere, West Orange County. And even when I was a kid, the last 20 minutes was a dirt road going out there. And now it's on the same lake as Windermere. Like all the NBA, it's a 20, it used to be an hour drive on dirt roads.
mhm.
Now I'm 43 and it's a 25-minute ride interstate the whole way.
Yeah.
To go, I mean, like my mom used to go out there and they would spend 3 weeks out there to get out of the city in the summer, to your point. Now it's just like a part of greater Orlando.
yeah.
Well, fun, okay. Who's the architect for these plans?
Matt Kerouac,
Okay, does anybody know Mac? Is he a Lake Bluff
he's a Lake
guy?
Bluff guy. Yeah, he lives in West Terrace, yeah.
Okay, all right.
And he's done a lot of homes in the Lake Bluff area.
Kerouac, K.
I think like the author.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. Spell it, Jack Kerouac. Okay, got it. What's your time frame on the renovations?
We're hoping my oldest son is in 5th grade. I'm hoping his first day of middle school, he's walking from that house.
Got it.
Uh,
That's awesome. Perfect.
Mhm. Okay. Well, it's a lovely house. I love the classical details on it.
Mhm.
And the Chippendale railings that you have on the two forward-facing gables are just wonderful to
Yeah,
look at.
It's beautiful. I mean, we're very content with our current house. It had to be something that was unusually cool and had a story behind it. I don't think we're really interested in getting a lot and doing new construction. We just renovate our
Mhm.
current house, but to have something historical that's got roots in the village and that has meant something beyond just being a pile of bricks, you know?
Mhm.
So our family, I can tell you, independent of whether or not, we get this designation or not, is really excited about moving in and just adding to it and making it not better, but more just exactly what was intended to be, but in line with 2025.
But like right on, just, that's all you're doing, right on top of the garage, right?
And we're building a basement and we're adding to the kitchen.
But like it fits right in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
From the out, looking at from the outside, looking at the outside, the only thing that will change from the street is the thing over the garage.
But
And I
to-
think that'll make it look better.
I was gonna say, it's
Yeah.
a direct continuation of everything.
Right.
It would actually look more complete.
Right.
Balanced.
Yeah.
Okay. There's reference in the documentation to a sunken garden.
Yeah.
I noticed on the
Yes.
plat plan that there is a sunken garden there. Does that still exist?
It does. It's there. It is, pretty, I've never seen anything like that, like on a residential, house. It's beautiful. Yes, it's, so if you're looking at the house, it's just east of the house in the front yard.
Okay.
Front yard?
I guess if you know the side yard, I guess it's the side yard. The side yard.
It's behind,
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
Yeah.
southeast, it's.
Would be rent and solid,
Here, right there.
realtor,
Uh-huh.
and it's grown so much. So,
Really?
Yeah.
when you pull into the house, if you're not looking at the house, it's the main thing that you see. Because even though it's the side yard, the house is kind of off the main entrance. So the side yard is directly visually lined up with when you enter the house.
Okay.
If that makes any sense?
Yeah.
So it's the first thing that you see other than the house, which is
So you
pretty.
plan on keeping it and
Yes.
restoring
absolutely.
it?
Yeah, yep,
Good.
absolutely.
Really?
And the drive-in plus court, drive right into the garden.
Correct.
Okay, but there's a row of bushes in the way.
Yes, well, I wouldn't advise doing it,
Well,
but
I
if you
drove-
were to keep
So
going. you-
I drove in your driveway a couple of days ago and didn't find the garden, and so I didn't know whether it had disappeared or not.
This-
Yeah. You can see
Wow,
here.
okay, that's lovely. Okay.
Oh, was it?
I spent.
Okay.
It's grown.
It's interesting that you say that because when I went and saw,
Almost.
Oh, wow.
Columns, and this is very young.
it's interesting that you say that because when we first went and looked at it, I didn't know that they had redone it, but I made a mental note of like, this is something that is very important to the owners. Because it was so meticulously, it wasn't just like,
Mhm.
let's dig a hole and plant some stuff and see what happens.
Sure.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
So that's an easy way to have your wallet get a lot thinner. So, yeah. So at the Marshall Field, at the Stanley Field Estate, due east of you, so if you find the driveway has all of the pine trees down there,
Mhm.
if you go to all the way to the end of that, there's now a bunch of houses back in there. But on one of the properties is the remains of the sunken garden that Stanley Field had on his property. So there's history that flows through the Field family of having a sunken garden for the big house. And the estate house that was there was gigantic. It was a probably, 10 or 12,000 square foot house that was perched right on the bluff. And that probably got raised probably in 1970 or something like that. And then that property was subdivided. But there is a sunken garden there, and there are other sunken gardens throughout Lake Forest. So it's a reasonably common garden element to have it so that it concentrates the heat and concentrates the sunlight for the harsh winters. So that's
Yeah.
part of its reason. So,
I was telling my wife when we were going to Nicole, when we were reading through all this stuff, there's a library in that house. It's like, we got to frame some of this stuff and just like put it in the library. It's cool for people to come over and see the history of the house.
Hmm, good idea.
Yeah.
so the photographs you've shown us are black and whites. And it looks like somebody's taken a telephone picture of somebody's scrapbook. Do you have those original photographs?
No, he says in the letter, so the letter that's from the Mariposa, those pictures. Can't think of the gentleman's last name, but
Wilson.
Wilson. There's actually two separate letters. He says at the end of the letter, I'll send you pictures. And then he says, I couldn't find the negatives. So this is all I've got.
Okay. All right.
And Lindy, had sent a lot of this stuff. So I don't know if the quality probably that she has is probably better.
Better, yeah. Every time you copy it, it degrades a bit.
Yes. So a
that's
copy
okay.
of a copy, right?
Yeah, okay. Well, this is great. So it sounds like we have a property here that has social history.
Mhm.
We
Absolutely.
have a property that has architectural history. It's got some very nice classical detailing in it. We have a property that has a sunken garden in it that appears to be extant, appears to be a functioning garden. Are you asking us to landmark the garden? That's part of our purview, is to do landscaping of landscape elements. We don't landmark the tulips, we don't landmark the daffodils, but if there is a formal garden design, we can landmark that also.
What's the significance of that?
Well, it just, all of the landmarking is part of annotating the history of the property.
Okay.
So the property is recognized for its architectural significance, and it's also recognized for the fact that it has this really cool garden in the back of it. And so that would be part of the process.
Okay,
It'll all be part of the
And
property, it wouldn't be like some separate.
okay.
so we did that with a house on Center Avenue down by the lake, which has a very significant garden walls, urns on top of the walls and whatnot. So we do have some history in doing that.
Fantastic.
So I've done a lot of talking here as usual. Anybody else have some questions, great thoughts? Anything else you'd like to take a look at? Okay.
Just another fascinating piece of property in Lake Bluff.
It is.
Yeah, we're excited about it. It might be the dumbest thing I've ever done, but we're excited. about
Sorry.
it.
Where are you guys now? Sorry.
We're in North Terrace.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't know if you know the Cliff Rice. Cliff and Ava Rice used to live there.
Got it.
Who now they live on Scranton, right?
Okay.
I think this is one of the more detailed, comprehensive histories that we've received
Mhm.
for a requested landmark. So thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for digging all
Happy to
that
do it.
up.
Thank you for listening to me talk.
We're asking questions because
Yeah.
it's fun and interesting to learn about it.
You know, you mentioned the social history. One thing that I really liked about this home is it served different purposes through its life. It's been, you know, a grand family home, a family home. Then it also took care of or gave refuge to lower income women and widows with children. And then it also provided shelter to military families. And I think it's led a lot of different lives. And I think it probably has very good juju in it. So it's gonna feel good for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're excited.
So what would we like to do? Would we like to nominate this for a landmark?
Absolutely.
Do we want to defer this and ask for more information?
I think we nominated now.
So can I entertain a motion?
So move to nominate this.
Second.
Thank you.
Well, that was pretty fast off the draw here. All right, so we have a nomination, we have a second. Yeah, please sit down. Thank you.
You're more welcome to stand. You just might be standing for a while.
Yeah, so would you like make any comments? So you're welcome to come up and tell us your thoughts of the property. Do you still live down the street from it? You live next door, okay. Well, great. Well, you probably have some pretty good memories of the property. Okay,
Situation, we still see her, actually, she came up a year ago. And we listened to a lot of town, but we went and walked around that house. She was in the switch trees. And everything.
oh, very fun. Okay. All right, we have a motion, we have a second. We need a roll call vote.
We do. Do you want to go through the?
The factors.
factors first?
Yes, I suppose we do have to go through the factors. So now we get into the long, boring reading part of this. Okay, so there are 26 factors here that we're going to go through. So if we get to section A, we must find at least one of the following criteria applicable to recommend the feature to designate as a landmark. So under general considerations, There are 7 general considerations. The feature has a significant character, interest, or value as part of the historic, aesthetic, cultural, or architectural characteristics of the village, state of Illinois, or United States.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. The feature is closely identified with a person or persons who significantly contributed to the development of the village, the state, or the United States.
Yes.
Okay. The feature involves the notable efforts of or is the only known example of work by a master builder, designer, architect, architectural firm, or artist whose individual accomplishments has influenced the development of the village, state, or country. So do we think this is a known example of a master builder or designer?
We don't really know.
No.
It sounds like.
We don't know, but I think we heard about the sunken garden being,
Mhm.
I forget the architect's name.
Oh, he's current.
He's current.
Craig
Okay, I'm not sure if he-
Bergman, yeah.
That, if he,
that's-
if he qualifies.
Okay. So what do you think, folks? Sounds like we're wavering a bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't really know.
We don't
Yeah.
know any information about that, so I don't think we can say
Okay.
yes.
So we score that. The unique location or single physical characteristics of a feature make it established or familiar visual feature. Certainly at the end of Foss Court it is.
Yeah.
The activities associated with the feature make it a current or former focal point of reference in the village. That follows very closely on the one we just read.
I think so, because
Okay.
I hear people refer to the Nissen House all the time.
Okay. The
Yeah.
feature is a type of or associated with a use once common but now rare, or is a particularly fine or unique example of a utilitarian feature or possesses a high level of integrity or architectural significance.
Oh, yes, because of the hotel
So the
hotel
ho-
aspect of it.
The hotel sure gets it there quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So then this one's usually a strikeout. The feature has yielded or is likely to yield historically significant information or even prehistoric data.
Priest.
So do we think this is going to yield more historically significant information?
Well, are you seeing stuff in the, we maybe missed that, like, there's stuff in the walls, like scraping, like from the past. I thought there was some carved names in and stuff like that. I don't know. We don't know. But
Yeah.
it was,
Certainly that mural that was painted, I
Mhm.
think it would be very interesting to try and find out if there's a signature. Have you looked to see if there's
Yeah.
a signature on the mural or anything? Yeah.
So
you're forgiven.
so many of those, so much of it. No.
Just the fact that it's there,
That's so neat. Yeah.
and it's been there for a long time, I think is significant. And that's certainly a feature that you don't see in
So
other
you,
homes today.
so would you think the feature is yielded or is likely to yield?
Yeah.
You think so?
It
you
doesn't
would
say
sort of
that
say
it will,
yes?
but it's likely to.
Okay,
Likely means over 50%. That's fine.
okay. All right, paragraph C, architectural significance. The feature represents certain distinguishing characteristics of architecture inherently valuable for the study of a time period, type of property, method of construction, or use of indigenous materials. And so I would think the time period of study from the 1890s would certainly take it
Yeah.
there. The feature embodies elements of design, detail, material, craftsmanship of exceptional quality. I think some of the gables on the face of the property and the Chippendale railings, I think, are very fine features of the house. The feature exemplifies a particular architectural style in terms of detail, material workmanship, was resulted in little or no alteration to its original construction. If we date its original construction to the 1932 edition of the classical details, I think that becomes a fairly simple statement. The feature is one of the few remaining examples of a particular architectural style and has undergone little or no alteration since its original construction. I think that fits in simply.
Mhm.
The feature is or is part of a contiguous grouping that has a sense of cohesiveness expressed through a similarity of style characteristics, time period, type of property, method of construction, or use of indigenous materials, and accents the architectural significance of the area. So this we may have to unpack into a couple of different pieces, but it's a part of or contiguous grouping that has a sense of cohesiveness expressed through a similarity of style characteristics. So if we look at this and say, is this similar to the other classically styled buildings in Lake Bluff? You could say probably yes, but I don't know that the rest of the neighborhood necessarily.
Right. But I
So-
think it's unique and it's like its own thing in that area. It doesn't necessarily mean it's not cohesive with other parts of the town. I think it is cohesive.
What about the sunken gardens, which you said there? Stanley Fields right next door had.
Yeah,
Wow.
okay. So would we score this yes?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. The detail, material, and workmanship of the feature can be valued in and of themselves as reflective of or similar to those of the majority or other visual elements in the area. Certainly, the beautiful gables on the face of the house really just send it over the top, I think.
Yep.
So here we get number 7. The landscape is significant in its own right as a work of landscape architecture, not just we're not just landmarking the daffodils, and not merely as a complementary setting for one or more of the structures of the buildings.
Absolutely.
So this is the question that I wanted to emphasize when we had our discussion earlier.
And just a note on that one. So the idea is that we have a draft ordinance. We would change it to say the residence and the sunken garden. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And that's fine with you guys as the applicant. It would just be if any major changes were to occur to that you would have to come back for an advisory review, similar to the house moving forward, what you would have to do.
Okay.
We're not trying to put you on the spot. If you want to like think about it, don't worry.
Mhm. Okay.
We weren't planning on.
I don't think that was original.
Well, if we landmark the garden, you can make changes to it. So, yeah,
It's just, you'd have to like come in,
so,
ask, you know. And even so, maybe not, just.
just get rid of the ball, right?
Would be nice.
Should we put an exception into the ordinance? The ball, parenthesis, the ball can go. So, our last paragraph, our last 6 items, historic significance. And this is where we're looking at the social history as well as the architectural history. The feature is an exceptional example of a historic or vernacular style, is one of the few such remaining of its kind in the village. Certainly the fact that it's an old rooming house is sort of part of the cultural heritage of Lake Bluff. And so many of the old hotels are gone. The feature has a strong association with the life or activities of a person or persons who significantly contributed to or participated in the history or cultural events of the village. And so that would take us back to the hotel era, the rooming house era.
Yep.
The features associated with an organization or group, whether formal or informal, from which persons have significantly contributed to or participated in the historic cultural events of the United States and village. Marshall Fields was certainly a significant part of probably the country as well,
Absolutely.
but certainly the area. The features associated with a notable historic event. I don't know if we've identified a singular event other than the event of being able to go stay at the hotel as a young shop girl at Marshall
I like
Fields.
that one.
What about troops being?
Yeah, the military staying
It's very
during World War II.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. The features associated with an antiquated use due to technological or social advantages. And certainly, we don't have hotels in Lake Bluff anymore. And the last one, this is always tough. The feature is a monument to or cemetery of a historic persons or persons. We found anybody buried in the backyard?
Yeah, right.
Not yet.
Don't worry.
So
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think we end up scoring that with a no. Okay. So there we have all of our features. And so I think we're pretty well set on deciding that we think this is a wonderfully significant house. Okay. So shall we take a roll call then?
Yes, and we had the first and second of the motion, so.
Do you want another first and second? You want, so do you have
He wants
that?
to restate it.
We had it for
Okay.
approval, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
All right.
Member Church,
Yes.
member McGuire,
Yes.
member Minor is not here, member Nickel,
Yes.
member O'Connor,
Yes.
member Tanner,
Yes.
and Chair Bergman.
Yes.
All right.
Great. You have a land, you're halfway home to having a landmark.
We'll be in touch with.
So
yes.
it goes to the village trustees for approval. Generally, if we score a house in this fashion, there's probably not going to be much in the way of objection from them as far as accepting it as a landmark, and it goes forward. You then gain, if you're going to do this much remodeling work, you need to get in touch with the State Historic Preservation Officer down in Springfield and start working with them for the tax freeze benefits. They're going to want to know a little bit about your construction process and construction technique. Get in touch with them before you do any demolition work. Okay, make sure that you've sequenced this right so that you have them on board with that.
Yeah, you need to take pictures of your house currently and any kind of historical type parts of the house. You need to make sure you have pictures. of that.
Jeff has landmarked his property and gone through the tax freeze process. And so you may want to contact him and his wife. She's knowledgeable about it also.
Yeah,
And they can give you a lot of information just about what the process is in going through all of that. The other benefit that you get is that the village will give you a discount on your Lake Bluff portion of your property taxes. That's an immediate benefit and occurs without any construction work or remodeling work. So that's a benefit. And I don't think you're going to have any zoning issues, but if there are any zoning issues that you have that are related to the historic nature of the property, come to us. We will review them. And if they fall in line with what we think is the historic nature of the property, we will write a letter to the ZBA on your behalf. And that's one of the benefits that we have of landmarking a property. And that's to encourage you to do that. So if a zoning question comes up, don't forget, we're here to try and help you. So.
Building one question. Will the Holstons have to come to us again with, they've already shown us plans to get permission to make the change?
Great question. So at a meeting today, I brought up that this was coming and our building codes supervisor said, oh, they're in for an addition. And so I was able to call Nicole and talk through what was being proposed. And that's why we have the plans today, and that as it's drafted in the updated ordinance is taken into consideration, and they don't have to come back
Oh,
unless
good.
there's changes to that. Yeah.
2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah. Yeah.
One-stop shopping. So it was a question that I had. And Janie, thank you for raising it. Quite honestly, it had escaped my memory. So you don't have to come back for the addition part of the review. So that's great. So with that, I think we're done with this portion of the meeting, and thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So
It's an unusual name.
Yeah.
So,
Thank
Good
you.
night.
okay.
Luck, enjoy.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
So then we get to the portion of the commissioner report. I don't have much in the way of a commissioner's report for you this week or this month. And so then do we have anything for a staff report?
Not really. We don't, as of right now, have any landmark nominations, but they can always come in again.
Okay,
The only item that I do know is coming down the line would be a demolition permit or a demolition letter of intent for 1750 Shore Acres. I
Mhm.
believe we've seen the demo permit for 1776 Shore Acres.
this is the little cottage.
It is, and they notified us that a tree fell on the little cottage within the last few days, so.
That
Convenient.
little building up in front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So is the main house gone?
I believe it is.
Okay, I haven't driven up there
Yeah,
for quite some time. Okay. Well, that's difficult to hear. It's my understanding that that little cottage has some David Adler design work in it, so.
yeah, I think that they have looked into that and they may have more information.
All right, well, it's difficult to, it's difficult to see high quality properties succumb, but I don't know the status of the property. If a tree fell on it, it may have significant damage, so, okay. Any other questions, thoughts? Anything going on with Harrison House?
Nothing
nothing going
that
on there?
we have heard of, no.
Okay, all right.
I don't know if this is the appropriate time to bring this up, but I was just curious about the rooming house that used to be on Maple at the end of North Avenue. Do we have photos of what that was? I'm sure, I hope we do in the History Museum because I heard some interesting stories about that.
It's my understand, I talked to Kathy O'Hara, and that's the Hotel Minnetonka.
The town.
And apparently it was designed by Louis Sullivan. It's an all-wood structure, 2-story. But unfortunately it burned down in 1917.
Okay, were there 1917?
1917.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it's not a matter of the wrecking ball getting to it in our generation. In 1917, it burned. And so I don't know if there are pictures of it or not. And I don't know if there's any pictures of it in the Louis Sullivan archives. Louis Sullivan was a very famous architect in Chicago, and I don't know if there's any photographs of it from his work there. So I don't know if there's Lake Bluff photographs or architectural photographs of it. So, but there were at least a dozen hotels in Lake Bluff over the period of time, in addition to the 5-story Hotel Irving, which took up the entire block. Where you.
Prospect, yeah.
Entire
Where
block
you
of
said we're at
Prospect.
the foot of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So. Well, with that in mind, if we don't seem to have any more business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
I.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Okay,